This show was supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Some of the booking was good, and other parts were atrocious. If they want to find a way to inspire fun, just have the matches go twice longer than they need to. Does that rhyme? I don't really care. You can just have the blood spill here and there. Just get some blood in the eye, just get some blood in the eye, blood in the eye, blood in the eye, just get some blood in the eye. Tony will pay you even if you go to the hospital and need several transfusions for the blood in your eye, blood in the eye, blood in the eye, blood in the eye. Blood in the eye. Jiminy Jillikers. Jiminy Jillikers. Jiminy Jillikers. I'm John Rant with my review of AEW Full Gear 2025 from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. The crowd was pretty hot, and then they fell into a nap, into a coma, because what else was there to do about halfway through this goddamn show? There were parts I liked, there were parts that I had issues with, and there's a lot to talk about. So let's just get the fuck into it. So I'm going to say right now, guys, my time reviewing AEW full-time is going to be coming to an end because I can simply not stay up to watch these shows. I'm on the West Coast. People on the East Coast, I can only imagine how tired they were. It's almost 10 o'clock. Almost 10 o'clock. This show went forever. And at least 3 matches went twice as long as they needed to. There were a couple matches that didn't even need to be on this show. Slow it down, Tony. Just slow it down and be a goddamn boss. So Nigel and Shivani were on commentary for the 0 hour. 200K 4-way. Which sounds like a movie I saw online once by mistake. So, it's Bowens and Caster. They're trying to reunite the Acclaimed, except it's not going to work. Against the Juice Bangers. Juice Robinson and I believe Austin Gunn. I think it was Austin Gunn. Or was it Colton? One of the Guns and Ace Austin was in the corner. And they took on Big Bill and Brian Queef, as well as the Outrunners, being the 4th team. And Dalton Castle was on commentary. He sounds like helium in human form. It was a match. I don't really have much to say about it. I didn't hate it, but it was just a match that they could have easily had on Collision. You know, Turbo, you son of a bitch. And, the Juicers won, so there you are. That was at least something. Bowens is upset. I'd be upset too if I was given a theme and a new theme and a possible singles run and didn't have anything to show for it. So anyway, rest in peace Bob Caudle and George Tahinos, however you say it. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. He was a long-time photographer. Bob was a long-time ring announcer or commentator and interviewer in the Mid-Atlantic area. Great work with JR later in his career. Great work in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Paul White is here. Paul White still works there. I did not know that. It looks like he's lost weight. Good on him. Okay, Joe has the OPP Dojo students. I guess this is either I guess this is just a play on, the New Japan Dojo, or them mocking the fact that New Japan or Bushiroad does not want to pay that well, or pay to keep the lights on for the New Japan Dojo in America, because Bushiroad are being tightwads. So, RPG Vice. Role-playing game Vice. This is fit in because Trent has been role-playing as a wrestler for a while. He also role-plays as a human being because he believes in Jordan Peterson. So, and other bullshit because he's a moron. And always injured. And somehow still getting paid some 6 years later. So, it is Rocky and Trent against QT and Big Boom AJ with the kids. No. I'm going to get banned if I truly say what I feel, so all I'm going to say is if you guys liked it, great. This is not for me. It will never be for me. If anybody had to sell for a kid like this, you know what they should do? They should just immediately go to another goddamn company. This is not sports-based wrestling. If I kill WWE for the bullshit comedy that they do, I'm going to kill AEW for this shit. So, yeah. Also, I noticed that the Rizzler, that's such a stupid name. Whoever came up with these names is an idiot, by the way. But again, it's not for me. The cape was taller than him. Anyway, so a Doomsday variation. 1, 2, 3. Look, I will give AJ Boom J credit. He at least takes it seriously and seems like a nice guy. But no. Alright. Why is Alex Marvez still there when he has the charisma of a fucking dead yuppie? And dead guppy? A dead guppy yuppie, as it were. So, I don't care about this Buck stuff. I do not care what's going to happen later. Eddie and Hook beat the Workhorsemen very quickly. And then Mystico, Mascara Dorada, and Neon. I used to have a Dodge Neon, by the way, that moved about as well as some of the people in this match. So, again, with Alex against Takeshita and Hechicero, Okada eventually showed up, but this started in the pre-show. And then Okada showed up in the sports car, in his tights, already ready to go, bitch. The pyro goes off and the match continues. Look, the CMLL, by the way, the CMLL Trios Championship match. I mean, whatever. They didn't need a referee because they never enforced the goddamn rules anyway. Because I was very quickly getting tired of this show. And I paid for it, by the way. I didn't pirate this shit. So I got no problem throwing a bunch of, anger towards things I didn't like. So they did the thing where Okada hit the Rainmaker on Takeshita. The thing is this isn't a slow burn. I don't really care what they do with Take after this. He's pretty much the only, one of the only young talents they have that actually could be, beneficial, or could have a push be beneficial to him, because I think he's the only one that could run with it. Okada, I'm sorry, is lazy, and I don't care if he's almost 40, I don't care if he's broken down. He has been lazy since coming to AEW. Mystico ends up tapping out Hechicero. Pull the trigger on this damn thing, Tony. Do something with it. Get to the Dome. Get the goddamn belt off of Okada. The Unified Championship, or whatever the hell it is. Okay, so Pac was sitting on a chair in the crowd just waiting for his cue to get up and do his entrance. This is going to be a theme of this goddamn show. And we cut to Darby. Apparently he was playing a character called Hush. I don't know who that character is. A friend of mine tried to explain it to me. They're more into that lore than I am. I said it was Claude Rains, Darbrains, as it were. And it's Darby against Pac. And Darby legit had burns on him because he's as good of a representation of, pursuing your dreams in Washington State professional wrestling as he is. He's also a fucking idiot for the stuff he does. He does not need to do that stuff. And a press slam to the floor. Look, Pac is a beast. Pac also is just one wrong move away from tearing every inflated muscle in his body. And, rubbing on the burns. This wasn't a bad match. There was a drop kick to the floor while Pac was seated in a chair. And the crowd was into it. The brutalizer, Darby managed to get out of that. And then fucking Yuta distracts, because I'm not allowed to get away from this fucking living tumor. I just seriously. And Brian pushes for him. Well, Brian needs to be pushed out of the company if he's going to push for a guy like this. God damn it. Yuta distracts, a belt shot, and Darby got pinned. What has been the point of Darby beating Jon Moxley and doing this stuff at Blood and Guts if we are just going to continue this stuff? Because I don't care what happened in a later match. This Death Rider stuff is beyond stale. No new leader, no new fresh coat of paint can be applied to this bullshit. So Pac beat Darby. I will give Tony Khan credit. He tried to subvert expectations by throwing some swerves at people. Literally, in the case of the main event, but there we are. What good has this done for Darby? I mean, he's one of the few that's over, and this isn't a good idea, because none of this Death Rider stuff has ever been good. And I was there pretty much for the launch of all this stuff at Wrestle Dream last year. And let me tell you, folks, it hasn't gotten any better. So, the Sisters of Sin, Julia and Sky with Tekla. Well, Thekla standing there on the stage, took on Willow and Harley, who took on Marina and Megan, and Mina and Tony. Marina Shafir needs to be charged in Nuremberg for her crimes against pro wrestling, because this is stupid. And by the way, and I'm sorry, her finisher being Mother's Milk, it's just good God, great. Turned off of looking at tits for the rest of my life. Thanks, Tony. Whatever, it's fine. It's just wrestling. It can't fucking hurt me. I've only been watching it for 40-something years. By the way, the winning team picks a stipulation for their semifinal match. And you know what? Why even have a ref? Like, I mean, really, why have a ref? Like, everybody just did everything. It was just the same as the other four-way, just not for money. There's some talent in this. There's also Penelope still there. I thought she needed surgery. Why is Shafir? Who does Shafir have dirt on? Because she's not good in the ring. She's as charismatic as, a fucking goddamn corpse that's been left in David Koresh's compound. Or David Koresh's corpse itself. Anyway, so, yeah, Tony won with the roll-up. Because everybody just did everything. And I like some of the women in this match. What the fuck? FTR took on Brodito. Stokely, for some reason, had a school video project that he showed here, and I hope his teacher gave him a good grade. Wait, that's unfair. Students actually have the opportunity to get taller. Stokely doesn't. I have been a big supporter of FTR. I don't care anymore. I don't wish ill upon them, but I'm sorry. This stuff has not worked. Them turning heel isn't the problem. They're not interesting. And Stokely basically got taken out on a dive by Brody that actually nearly took out Brody because they mistimed it. Stokely's dead chance. Should have chanted Yuta's dead. Maybe we could have gotten something good out of this show. Fuck Yuta's parents for giving birth to him, by the way. His stupid twat mother and his stupid father. They're probably both inbred. That's why he turned out that way. So anyway, a shatter machine, but this just kept going. They kept doing near fall. They kept going more when they didn't need to. And FTR's guilty of it. The Bucks are guilty of it. So many people are guilty of doing too many near falls. You don't need to do that because eventually it just gets to where it's exhausting. And, Bandito even got hit with the title, but that was just a 2 count. A pile driver on the apron. Why? Why? And another shatter machine. 1, 2, 3. New champs. And this might mean something if they didn't have a small child as a manager and they actually, were interesting people. But they're not interesting anymore. And I don't wish ill upon FTR, but I just don't care. Like, just the tag division has just been, up and down and up and down. Was it a terrible match? No. But did it go longer than it needed to? Yes. Casino Gauntlet match for the inaugural AEW National Champion. I'm going to get to the people in here. Lashley and Shelton started out, and then Mr. Bald himself, Ricochet, came out with his goons. It just interfered, and eventually the referee kicked him out, to what little authority they have. Claudio came out. And I'm like, okay, if Claudio is the only Death Rider in this, then fine. Garcia then came out, and I gave up. Fuck you, Tony Khan, for signing this son of a bitch. And fuck you, Bryan Danielson, for pushing for Daniel Garcia. And I don't care if he's a nice guy. He should not be getting this much TV time or pay-per-view time, because he's never going to be any better than he is. And Orange Cassidy came out, and then Wheeler Yuta came out, and then Kevin Knight came out. Wow, an athlete. Wow, amazing. Wow, the first athlete since Shelton. I mean, I guess Ricochet, but Ricochet's too bald and stupid to realize just how annoying he actually is. And then Roddy Strong showed up. And then Mark Davis. And then Speedball. Or fuck you, Speedball. And then Matt Menard. And just, Tony, I thought you got rid of AEW Dark. Oh, we attack Garcia. It's long-term storytelling. Stupid storytelling. Because it's between a midget and somebody that's barely taller than a fucking midget. Menard is he's not a terrible person. He's a terrible commentator. And this whole thing with them has been bad. It has been really fucking bad. And Ricochet won, by the way. The thing is if this gets Ricochet off of television and he goes to defend the title elsewhere, fine. I mean, because apparently that's what it is. The national championship is going to be defended everywhere. Okay. So anyway, Lashley and Shelton showing back up after taking a nap for about 15 years was nice. But yeah, Ricochet wanted, and it was funny, Menard, attacking Garcia, and they just fought off. Damn shame, and ended up like the dirty blonde in Final Destination. Is that mean? I don't care. Moxley took on O'Reilly, and no holds barred, and I said, okay, if they can take it seriously, I'll give it a chance. And then Moxley broke the fork out. So it was dog shit because Moxley refuses to fucking work. Apparently quitting alcohol means he just quit trying. And I'm glad he quit alcohol. I'm glad that he's not doing bad shit to his body anymore. I'm very glad of that. But evidently, he just wants to be a lazy son of a bitch that uses a fork and uses weapons, thinking he's Abdul the Butcher, when the difference is Abdul the Butcher drew money. And Shafir is there, because I'm not allowed to be away from this goddamn stupid flat-chested plot. And I don't care if I'm angry. I don't care if people get mad at the fact that I am knocking their precious AEW. Because guess what? I still review AEW. I barely review WWE. I review 2 Raws in a row for the first time in, God, at least 5 months. But the thing is Moxley refuses to have an actual match. Rick Knox was in this, which means it was fucking pointless because Rick Knox is exactly the type of person that deserves to be bullied and humiliated for existing in this business because he doesn't fucking deserve it. He's just friends with the goddamn Bucks and I don't care if he's nice. There is just so much wrong with this company while there's so much right with this company, and I want AEW to succeed. All this stuff, this talk about Warner Brothers, possibly splitting its assets, selling some of its assets, and keeping some of its assets. If somehow Netflix gets a hold of them, I hope that Dynamite ends up on Netflix because I would love to see that, because I'd love to see them shove it in WWE's face. Now, if Peacock gets them, that would be even more hilarious because they get all the AEW library. I just want, whatever happens, I don't know if anything changes next year, if it takes till 2027, 2028, or if Warner Bros. Discovery doesn't bother to do any, doesn't bother to do much of anything, it just continues as it is. I want AEW to continue to succeed, I want the wrestlers to get paid, but I want actual talent here. And Shafir is not a fucking talent. She is a nepotism hire. If Roddy had knocked her up, then maybe she wouldn't be there. Because she doesn't have any discernible talent of her own. Oh, she's a Defy Women's Champion. Oh, well, go wrestle in front of that room of 500 people once a month. Have fun. So yeah, let's get back to Moxley. I don't care about any of this because Moxley is one of the worst push wrestlers that they've ever had. At least in the last year and a half. Ever? No. But in the last year and a half, yeah. We fork people. Okay, that was a creative chant. And then we get a chain. Because we can't have a match that have just pretty much made O'Reilly just do garbage shit. And a chain ankle lock wins it. I know it seems like I skipped over some of this stuff, but why? What's the point? It's a Jon Moxley match. Oh boy, O'Reilly is getting a push. O'Reilly, who came off of a busted neck of like 2 years, that's nearly 40, that his best days are behind him. I'm not knocking O'Reilly. But this is what they're doing? Oh, well, Moxley finally did a series of jobs. The window is very, very small for O'Reilly, by the way. He's going to need a championship. They're going to need to give him a concerted push. But, so what? Oh, and then he attacks O'Reilly afterwards. And just end this. End this shit. And send Moxley away for a year. I don't want to see him again until after Full Gear next year. Have him go home and be a family man. Have him wrestle in New Japan. I don't care. And take Shafir with him, for God's sakes. Mark Briscoe package on Family and Friends, and I'm like, oh great, he's losing. But then I'm like, okay, Briscoe and Fletcher, it's a TNT title match. If Fletcher loses, he loses the TNT championship. If Briscoe loses, he needs to join the Don Callis family. Okay. Oh, it's no DQ. As opposed to the no holds barred match that we just had. I don't care if people bleed buckets. I don't care because it's their bodies and they can do what the fuck they want. But if you see shit where the referees aren't enforcing the goddamn rules and you get to this fucking point and you're just doing this stuff, why? I mean, and here's the thing. Their match, what was it, a Wrestle Dream? Was good, but way too long. What was this? Way too long. And Callis was on commentary, and I'm sorry, but Don Callis deserves to be frickin' put on a torture rack and stretched until he says what he allegedly did to Scarlett and others as to why he's not in Impact anymore when he was so influential. Wonder why he's gone all of a sudden. Allegedly. So, we get a brainbuster on the chair. Can anyone in this company work without using weapons? Well, they could if Tony was any kind of boss. Because Briscoe can. And I'm not saying that you can't use weapons in a no DQ match. But if you make them count, then they mean something. Or you can just keep throwing shit in the ring. Briscoe bleeds. This does no one any favors because Briscoe bleeds so often. I don't know why Brian said, I don't think I'd want to ride with Mark Briscoe, behind the wheel, and I've rode with him. Brian? Given how his brother died? I don't know I'm not saying he meant it badly, but if I'm going to kill commentary, in WWE for bad shit, that wasn't great. Kyle bleeds. Briscoe goes through a table. Numerous weapon shots. A bunch of chairs get set up. And then we get tacks because we have to be garbage. And tacks are garbage. And I don't care. It's one of the things I wish that Mick Foley had not included in the Hell in a Cell in 1998. Because if he hadn't included that stuff, you know what? Maybe a bunch of people now wouldn't be doing this shit. And I wouldn't be stuck with it. Stuck watching this stuff as a fan. And I've seen tack spots at indie shows. And I'm sorry, but it was stupid back in 98, and it's stupid now. So, we get a barbed wire board, because why not at this point? Why not just get piranhas out and just let them feast on you? So, a ladder and a table and a neck breaker under the chair pile that Kyle set up about 8 million years before. Froggy bow through the table. 1, 2, off the ladder, by the way, through the table. 1, 2, kick out. And then the screwdriver. The screwdriver thing worked a little bit and then got really, really annoying. And as far as I'm concerned, Callis can sit on that screwdriver, and talk about the first thing that pops up. So, and then the attempt to put it through the, buckle pad and try to stab somebody on it. A brainbuster for 2. And then a razor's edge variation through the wire table. And then J Driller. 1, 2, 3. So good. Briscoe won. I'm happy for him. But good fucking Christ, you didn't need to do all that. Because weapons do not equate a good match. Deathmatch wrestling has always been stupid, and I will stand by that. And if you disagree with me, fine, I'm not telling you that you're wrong for liking it. But if you don't like that I don't like it, I don't fucking care. So, the Omega Express, but good on Briscoe for winning the TNT title. I just don't see how that benefited anybody. Omega Express, Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express took on the Bucks and Josh Alexander. $1 Million Challenge, and unlike the $1 Million Challenge at Starrcade 1984, I believe, well, this didn't draw nearly the money. Referee Rick Knox. I am ashamed that this motherfucker is allowed to breathe on this planet. Because he is shameful. He is a shameful ref. He is probably a shameful human being. I don't know. He could be a nice guy. But he's shameful to look at. He's shameful to watch. He never should have been a referee. But the Bucks like him because he lets them play. And Jack Perry is Craven the Hunter. That's fitting because Jack Perry has been a flop as a wrestler, and that was a flop of a movie. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? They did athletic, acrobatic shit for a while. That's all they do. There's very few Bucks matches that I will actually praise. If it sounds like I'm down on this goddamn show, it's because at this point, if you had just cut a few matches down by 5 minutes, we would have been done with the main event well before midnight on the East Coast. So anyway, Tony Schiavone also said that it's 5 straight years of 10,000 plus seen Full Gear. Good on them. Newark, I think, is the only place they should run Full Gear because they get a good crowd. They tried running it here, they probably would have gotten 5,000 because Tony Khan killed my state after WrestleDream last year. So eventually, the Trigger pins Perry, and yeah, that was a waste of pay-per-view time. I mean, I know what they were doing, but the thing is, I'm never going to cheer the Bucks, and due in large part to their political views, their worldviews. In fact, they're birthers and pieces of shit, and I don't really care. They'll take care of their friends, but that's about it. But Omega then is getting beat up. And the Bucks milk the fact that they're on the stage, they got the money, and Callis is trying to get him to go back because all the Callis families there, except Archer, who's safely in New Japan, teaming up with Alex Zane for World Tag League, evidently. Hey, at least they feature Archer in the ring over there. And the Bucks then eventually save Kenny Omega. Oh boy, good, the Elite are back. Great, we're right back to square one with this shit. Oh, power of friendship. That was a creative chant, I'll give him that. And we get a hug. Oh joy. It was what it was. If you like it, you'll like it, whatever. So, Mercedes had all the Goon Squad holding her championships. Every time she does that dance, her opponent should just German suplex her. Take it seriously or go do that in Hollywood. But stop acting like you're some kind of dancer when you're not. You look like you're an electrocuted dead mouse. Why the escape pod entrance? Why are we trying to even reference the alien stuff with Chris Statlander that stunted her growth in this company? I'm sorry, I didn't like the alien stuff. She's athletic and she looks great and she doesn't need this. What didn't look great was the early part of this match. It's Mercedes versus Statlander for the AEW Women's Championship. And Statlander hits hard and you hear oof. So it's possible she, hurt her wrist, hurt her elbow, something, because it looked like her arm was fucked. So it was her left arm. And she wasn't doing all that well, but was powering through it. So I'm thinking she got a stinger of some variety. I'm hoping she didn't damage anything. She didn't tear a muscle. And she didn't break something or fracture something. The reason I say that, they would have stopped the match, or they would have gone. They would have gone to a quick finish. They wouldn't have let it go this long unless she said she could have gone. But the crowd is tired at this point. People are like, "Oh, the crowd should come up." The crowd's tired. Also, Mercedes is more than capable in the ring and has been delivering in the ring. She's also a disingenuous bitch. She should never be allowed to talk unless somebody talks for her. Because I don't believe her. I think she's fake. I think she's a phony. I think she's as fake as her goddamn hair. But she can deliver in the ring. We got all 14, amigos, one for each championship. Including the TBS titles she's held hostage for about 8 years. So, Statlander keeps favoring her left arm, but keeps fighting through it. We got cross-face trading. I will argue this probably was the best match of the night, but that's faint praise. And a gutbuster, off the top. Shades of Dean Malenko. That wasn't the finish, because why would it be? And a rope break. And this kept going. And I know what they were trying to do, but I don't think they quite delivered as much as they thought. But we got a poison Rana because we have to do that stupid move. And then we got double knees. And then we got reversals. And eventually, Saturday Night Fever, 1, 2, 3. Statlander finally gets the victory over Mercedes. Laying down, staring up at the lights like she should be. And she better lose that TBS championship soon. I don't care if she goes into a spiral. I don't care if she holds on those indie titles for a while. I can guarantee you this. By the time she is, rebuilt as a babyface, coming back from the depths of, despair to be the champion, I will not be reviewing this regularly. Because part of what has happened with me is being burned out on a lot of stuff with AEW, and also Mercedes has been one of the people driving me away. So, yeah, there you go. Statlander retains the championship, and I legit hope she's okay. So Callis then is trying to celebrate with Okada, Takeshita, and Hechicero, who's in charge of the money. So Okada's in the C2, the C2E2, no, the Continental Classic, and Take's in there, and also Fletcher's in there. Okay, cool. This is dragging in particular because we just are getting to the main event, the cage lowering. And this was a fairly well-built match. We got, it's 9 p.m. here is what I noted, and it is midnight and passing midnight on the East Coast. Hangman versus Joe, world title steel cage. Joe bled. We got, a boot. What's it all a boot? Shrieking Canadian noises. Hangman then is bleeding. He's hulking up. Except Hangman actually seems progressive, unlike Hulk. Because Hangman's life is progressing and Hulk's is not. So, they were doing some good stuff, and really it looked like Joe legit busted himself open, so hopefully he's alright. And later Shibata shows up, and his new brain has had the switch turned to evil, so he's trying to attack. He grabs the title and is going to do something, but then Eddie pulls him down. And then we get a ref bump. After Eddie and Shibata fight off. They just fight off. And then a buckshot. After an exposed buckle shot. Oh, by the way, Hobbs is also in the ring because he ripped the chain off its hinges. Which actually, he ripped the chain that was attached to the door and then moved the door that didn't get ripped off its hinges. But you know what I'm saying. So Hobbs got laid out, but then we got the exposed buckle and then the buckshot. A lot of bucks going on here. And Hook shows up, and then Hook, oh my God, he hits Hangman with the championship and takes the shirt off, and it's a ruse. He was part of the OPPs, yeah, you know me. Muscle Buster and new, once again, world champion Samoa Joe. Okay, give him credit, didn't see that coming. Hangman's title reign ends after, 4 months. And we get a pyro celebration, and the OPP dojo people are there. Lights out, and then it went a while. We cut to Joe and people in the ring, lights come up, and then we cut back to the stage. Tony needs a better production team because this was bad. I mean, it was cool when, he showed up, but this was bad from a production standpoint. Joe ended up kind of looking like an idiot because he's just standing there. Nana was there drinking coffee, and then suddenly Swerve's new theme hits, and boy, that theme was a choice. Whoever rapped that probably should not be allowed to touch a microphone again. So, Swerve saunters to the ring. Take your time, Swerve. It's not like we are dragging ass and really tired here, and I could be referring to the viewers at home. I could be referring to the live audience. I could be referring to the people operating the production equipment. But anyway, he then shows up and, yeah, take your time. And then he eventually takes out all the security, and oh my God, he's going after the man that didn't take him out, because that was Okada that took him out at Forbidden Door. But whatever, semantics. So, it's him and Hangman standing together. Enemies are united. And I guess this probably leads to a three-way at World's End and whatever. I'll give him credit. That was a bit of a shock, but Jesus Christ, that was a long show. Long review, too, but I tried to... I really think the World's End needs to be the end of my full-time reviewing of AEW. Because what else is there to do? I was broken by this show. Even though there were good things, I was broken by a lot of this show. So, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Retlin, and yeah, I will review AEW for a little bit more, but I think I'm about done. And thanks, Tony. You've pretty much driven a passionate wrestling fan to give up because you don't know when to fucking quit, you don't know when to be a fucking boss, and you don't know when to tell your talents no. Thanks, guys. See you soon.